All right guys, on today's video, we're gonna go over one of the most common questions that I got about my time in the wilderness on season 8 of Alone, and that is, how did I keep my blades sharp, both my axe and my knife? And so this is Wilderness Knife Sharpening 101. Before we get started on this video, I do want to remind you about my new book, Surviving Alone. It's all about my experience on season 8 of Alone up at Chilco Lake. So with that, let's get started into some knife sharpening. So there's a couple of different ways that you can keep your blades sharp in a survival situation. And probably the most common way that these guys are using is just to find a rock. Now this is the rock that I used on season 8 of Alone. This is just a flat piece of stone that I found on the lake shore. And I used it just like a wet rock. So the key with any kind of freehand sharpening, it doesn't matter if you're using like a diamond stone or a milled out whetstone or just a rock that you find on the shore. The key is to keep a constant bevel. And you'd be surprised, with just this rock right here, I can make this Leatherman shave. But if you're changing that bevel, if you're making strokes like this, you're basically rounding that thing off and making a butter knife. And so as long as you keep those strokes even and your bevel the same, you can put a really keen edge on this thing. Again, making sure that I'm keeping this bevel the same. I did a lot of carving with my axe out there, and it was important for it to be very sharp. I think this thing, go over it a little bit, I could probably shave with it. A flat rock is probably going to be the most common method that Alone participants are using, but they're always in areas where rocks are available. But what if you're in an area where there just aren't any rocks? The other method is to take a piece of split firewood or just a log that you've cut off and take a little bit of dirt, clay, or whatever you have and smear that into the cut end. If you have sand, it'll work, or a fine grit clay-based soil like this, and use it in the exact same way. You're going to be pulling away from the blade edge. And this acts just like a very fine grit honing stone. So another tip you can use to bring back the edge on a blade that's not too dull is called stropping. Now you can use a leather belt for this, that's what most use, or you can just use a piece of wood if that's all you have. But you're doing basically the same thing that you're doing when you're sharpening the blade. You're pulling or pushing away from the blade edge, and then this just helps to bring back that razor edge on these knives, or broadhead, or axe, or whatever it is that you're using. Again, just making sure that you don't change this bevel here. You want that pitch, that bevel, to be the constant throughout the stroke. All right, so there's your little bushcraft hack for the day. And I just want to remind you that the new episodes of Alone are rolling out on Thursday evenings, and then the next day on Friday, I'm going to try to be doing episode recaps. So don't forget to tune in to that, and then also every Thursday I'm putting out a new video. So subscribe if you're not already. Check out my book if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys on the next one.